Am I the a-hole for proposing to my girlfriend of 10 years with an AliExpress ring? My parents passed away in an accident 5 years ago when my sister, Isabel, was only 14. She numbed the pain with substances and an abominable diet. She's not physically ill but still needs someone to look after her. I'm all she has. Luckily, this worked out because my girlfriend at the time was able to accept her coming in second place in my life. When our 10-year anniversary hit, we celebrated by flying to Hawaii. I knew it was time to make her my wife. When I opened the box and made the classic speech during a restaurant proposal, she said yes. The next morning I wake up to this brat's face swollen and in tears. I asked her, "What's wrong?" She shoved her phone in my face and I saw the AliExpress link for the $43 ring. I now had the displeasure of truly finding out what I was to her. She complained about what an angel she had been. How even though she did the dirty with other guys, she always made sure to not kiss any of them. This was then followed by her throwing the ring out the window. I stayed calm and figured she was just on her period or something. After all, what is a marriage without forgiveness? For her grand finale, she told me if it wasn't for my good-for-nothing sister who shouldn't still be alive, I could have been a better boyfriend. Every day I wish I let this be the last straw. Instead I listened as she told me she didn't mean any of it. I needed space and just left. I returned that evening to find her still crying. I felt bad. It was hard on her for my attention to be divided between two women. I wanted nothing more than to forgive her. So we ended up returning home early to figure things out. I needed a way where her and Isabel could get along and we all hang out together. Then it hit me, she could move in. I had a pretty big house so Isabel would still have a lot of space to herself. I brought the idea up and she was on board. She moved in that same week. Even though my sister was struggling a lot, the first few days were pretty great. I saw Isabel was eating fast food for almost every meal as a coping strategy again. But she still made an effort to talk to my fiancé. My fiancé was actually more pleasant than ever. Then came the first red flag. One Sunday, I was preparing bacon for all of us and I called Isabel downstairs. And we waited for my fiancé to wake up. I noticed Isabel had gained a lot of weight but brushed it off since I was focused on keeping the food warm so we could all enjoy it together. Unfortunately, she had taken so long to come down that the food burned. Little did I know this was all part of her plan. That evening, Isabel burst into tears. My heart shattered and figured she was getting another one of her flashbacks. Then came the jumbled apologies. She told me it was all her fault that the bacon was burned, that she's ashamed for being the reason we had to starve. She was only 19 and I figured that it was late and this was some hormonal imbalance. I reassured her of how happy I am to have her in my life. The next few days were pretty standard. I would take care of Isabel, go to work and all three of us would do some sort of bonding activity together. What more could a man wish for? But one night during Uno, my fiancé spilled her glass of cranberry juice on the blanket. This blanket was one of the last gifts our mom had given us. But I figured the hassle of arguing over a simple spillage wasn't worth it. The next morning, Isabel was again in tears. She told me it was all her fault that the juice had spilled. Call it a brotherly instinct, but I knew something fishy was going on. For the next week I started tracking her symptoms and everything got worse. She gained 5 pounds, stopped being able to recall key memories, and was in tears with guilt almost every single night. I tried everything. I made healthy meals for her every day, encouraged her to go to the gym with me and my fiancé, and even brought her on hikes. We only saw minor improvements. I stopped being able to sleep at night. I resorted to the library after feeling defeated. I did some digging and found that her symptoms were because her liver wasn't properly processing the fatty foods she had been eating. All the substances she had taken in the past were doing her no favors. So not only was all that food sitting in her body longer than it should, I also found out that it could lead to cirrhosis, which has no cure, and if you want to go down a rabbit hole, search it up. I wanted nothing more than for her to be happy, so I made her hop on everyday liver vitamins I found on Amazon. She trusted me so much that she always took 2 pills. The changes were obvious in the first week. The crying was now only once every few days. After 2 weeks, she mentioned she was able to trust herself again because she wasn't forgetting stuff anymore. I was so happy for our little family. We played memory games every night to strengthen her brain and saw her better than ever. After a month of taking the everyday liver vitamins, she said that the vitamins had decreased her cravings for junk food and made her want to stick to a healthier diet from now on. I told her that was good because she could have ended up in hospital from all the unhealthy foods she was consuming regularly. After committing to using the vitamins for 2 months, I could tell she had gained her confidence back. She started admiring herself in the mirror and told me she was happy to see how toned she was getting. One night during a memory game, my fiancé accidentally walked in with dirty shoes that messed up the carpet. We cleaned everything up and decided to call it a day. In the middle of the night, my sister pulled me into the living room. I was about to go into Big Brother mode but she just told me she remembered. Apparently this whole time my fiancé was taking advantage of her vulnerability. She was going into her every night and telling her everything was her fault. Every spill, every mistake. Because of the memory damage caused by her liver, she was never able to remember what was said. Just the guilt that came after. I was so angry and I threw all of my fiancé's belongings out the window. I woke her up and told her to get the F out of my home. I couldn't believe who I had let into my life. And this witch never even confessed. It was all a result from some everyday liver vitamin.